What's up, guys? Today we have the finals of the Smogon Tour Season 28 playoffs. In one corner, we have SoulWind, who has been to these playoffs 10 times, which is more than anyone else by a good margin. And by reaching these finals, he has also tied the record of four individual tournament final appearances. He is tied with Ojama for that distinction. In the other corner, we have Luigi, who is not as prolific record-wise as SoulWind, but he has been in the tournament scene for a long time. He's always played well, and he has been to the Smogon Tour playoffs as well. So, looking at the first game, which is black and white, SoulWind is advantaged here without even looking at the matchup because SoulWind is considered by most one of the best, if not the best, black and white player, and has been considered that way for a long time. So looking at the matchup, we see Rain versus Weatherless, which at first glance you think, well, that's not ideal because Weatherless versus Sand is usually okay, but Weatherless versus Rain with things like Uncontested Tentacruel and Keldeo just slamming you from every direction, and Polytoad being able to just stay in on things because it doesn't really need to stick around, they can get messy. However, Magnezone standard set runs Sunny Day, so a smart player will know not to just throw Toad away. Looking from the bulkier structure of his team, then SoulWind is probably going to be running Toxic Orb Breloom. That is the common set right now because it is tough to take down with status, especially burns from water types, not just Scald, but also Rotom Wash Will-O-Wisp. And it's a fearsome sweeper because a lot of checks to it, like Latios, get worn down very quickly. They have recovery, and they don't have recovery, and Breloom does. So, and it could also be Scarf Keldeo for the cleanup. Then you've got your Jirachi Tentacruel as a defensive core, and then Thundurus to break up more defensive teams. So it's a well-rounded team overall. Now Luigi is all in on the offense. I mean, okay, maybe not all in, since half his team is support, with Rotom to get in the big hitters and take some hits, Jirachi to do the same, but get up rocks, Magnezone to trap the steals. But the other half is really, really strong. Mamoswine and Latios with Magnezone support, yikes. And even Excadrill enjoys it, since it can permanently remove the spikes that Ferrothorn or Skarmory would lay, and it can spam Iron Head more easily. It is safe to assume that it is the choice Scarfer here. Probably with Mold Breaker, so its Earthquake sweeps don't get stopped by something as silly as Rotom or Latios. So, with that, let us begin. So, the lead, Magnezone versus Breloom. Magnezone's going to want to get out of there because he wants to trap Jirachi, and it is not going to be successful if it messes around with Breloom getting spored or attacked. Either way, messy. So SoulWind goes for a Protect here, and that's just scouting for something like a Specs HP Fire, because that's the only reason that Magnezone would stay in, or maybe something like a faster Volt Switch. So he knew that he could safely predict an attack, or even threaten to switch to Thundurus to absorb it. But Luigi goes to Latios, which is assumedly Sleep Talk with Choice Specs, a safe Breloom switch, or, as we mentioned earlier, safe-ish, since the Toxic Orb sets with a Facade hit it really hard, so it can't switch in too many times. But for now, it's safe, and there's no Pursuit on SoulWind's team, so he can drop a Draco. And when Jirachi comes in, that's SoulWind's only steal, and Luigi does have a Magnezone. So, SoulWind goes for the Protect, just to make sure that Luigi does not immediately double switch to the Magnezone, and also waste a Draco Meteor PP. You never know when that's useful. So now SoulWind is assumedly going to go to Jirachi because Breloom is way too valuable against Rotom and Excadrill to just throw away. And Magnezone does come in on Jirachi, so that was a nice play from Luigi. Body Slam, no paralysis, and Magnezone is going to throw up a substitute. Now, most Magnezone these days are Air Balloon, Magnet Rise, Sunny Day. Sunny Day was standard before because Ferrothorn is really, really annoying in rain. But it also ran Magnet Rise for bulky Excadrill. So an air balloon lets it switch into standard Scarf Extra Drill. So this subset is not something that anyone expected. So now we see no leftovers, so there's only one thing to assume if it's sub without lefties, because most players who were running sub zone are probably going to be running lefties so that they can stay at good health and, get the kill on the spiker, kill something else. Although it also sometimes doesn't really matter, since Magnezone dies or gets OHKO'd by so many common attacks like Earthquake, Close Combat, Fire Blast. So the health doesn't really matter. So Luigi is taking advantage of that by running what we assume to be Salac Berry, which increases the amount of things Magnezone can kill after it's trapped the steel, and also decreases the amount of things that can revenge kill it. I mean, remember, Magnezone's not that fast. It can't even outrun a max speed Starmie, let alone things like Alakazam, or Scarftar, but it will outrun a lot of key Pokemon like Tornadus and Terrakion and Keldeo. So, yeah, now we see SoulWind trying to break the subs with Body Slam, and it's taking 3 hits to do so. Yeah, it's taking 3 hits. While Luigi keeps fishing for those Charge Beam raises. And he's trying to sub down to the Salac Berry, so SoulWind's trying to avoid giving him that Salac. But he does get Stealth Rock up, which is useful. Since Luigi's Extra Drill is very likely to be Scarfed, then spinning is going to come at a cost for it. It'll be easily punishable. And with SoulWind packing Breloom, which threatens things on the Switch, since we assume it's Facade, and Thundurus, which threatens everything like that, especially since they both double up on Latios checking them, then yeah, it's scary. Of course, Mamoswine is terrifying in return. SoulWind's options for dealing with it are a faster Tentacruel, a bulky Toad, which isn't really a counter, but it can come into Icicle Crash, and Keldeo. But offensively, with that terrifying Ice Crash Earthquake combo, then it's really scary, especially if Thundurus does not run Focus Blast, which is the trend right now, in favor of moves like Substitute and Nasty Plot to break through bulkier teams like Cresselia Sun. And so the Agility Focus Blast variant, Agility doesn't get you past Mamoswine, but Focus Blast at least prevents it from switching in. So SoulWind does get his Luigi gets his +1 speed. He's not getting past +3, it seems, and SoulWind crits with that Body Slam, meaning the next one will break, and Luigi will not have a substitute up for the next Pokemon. So he is forced to accept his +3 and +1 speed by taking the Jirachi out with Hidden Power. Of course, that's still going to be a ton, but so now SoulWind goes to Politoed. So, things to consider here. If it's Scarf Toad, that means probably not Scarf Keldeo. It revenges this, and then Thundurus will be able to take a hit, but he doesn't want to take 2 +1 Flash Cannons. If it's bulky, then he's just setting up the rain, and he can threaten. He can switch to Thundurus to get the rain up, and have 100% accurate Thunders, as well as make his Keldeo more immediately threatening, rather than have it in on, say, Jirachi or something, and be like, oh man, I don't even have the rain up. In any case, Luigi has to respect the possibility of Scarf Politoed, so he cannot try to Flash Cannon the Thundurus on the Switch. I mean, Scarf could even go for Encore, so it wouldn't even matter. But if you just Scarf and he breaks the sub and you Flash Cannon, then you look like an idiot. So even if he goes to Thundurus and you Charge Beam, then you're still fine because you're hitting it really hard. So that's best just to go for the safe play. And as for SoulWind, if he's bulky, he doesn't have much else of choice. So he does go to Thundurus, and Luigi goes for Charge Beam. And Thundurus takes it with Volt Absorb. So now we're going to see Flash Cannon do a ton, and then SoulWind break the sub. So if the Politoad's not Scarf, that means Keldeo is. So luckily Magnezone can't use Substitute anymore, so then he might have to sacrifice something to get in the Keldeo, because if Luigi gets risky and Charge Beams the Keldeo on the Switch, then that's just game. Since Breloom is not going to be running Mach Punch, it's bulky, and with +3, he's just going to sweep through everything else, barring a charge beam miss on Toad or Tentacruel. So let's see if he. I mean, he's behind, so he's got to take a risk, and it's really hard to pull that trigger of not only just giving the Thundurus more health, because he might just say, well, my Thundurus is weak, and against this team, it's probably not going to be doing much else of use. I mean, it is immune to Earthquake, but he's got, assumingly, a bulky Toad and a bulky Protect Breloom, so Earthquake is not really the concern here, especially since his Tentacle has Protect to make sure that they don't get, the Breloom doesn't get Iron-headed on the switch. So he might just think, you know what, I got to play it safe. And so when he plays off the assumption that Luigi is going to take it safe, because there's no real reason to risk it. So he does manage to get his Keldeo, and still takes a ton from the +1 Flash Cannon, but he is going to scare it out, and now he's going to start drowning things with his Surf and Rain. Latios can't switch in. I mean, Rotom was a reasonable switch in, but if it eats a Secret Sword, then that's not good. And Magnezone, I think it's better to just let Zone go. It's not doing much, and it's very easy for damage to stockpile up when you're facing things like Scarf Keldeo and Rain, or like a Scarf Garchomp, and you just haphazardly throw your Scarf Landorus into it, and then it's like, well, okay, now I switch out and I sweep you later. So you got to be really careful, and he's got to make every hit count. With a frailer offensive team like that, you really got to pick your battles, and switching Latios or Keldeo in was going to make him worse in the late game and not give him much of an immediate reward. So he chose to just let Magnezone go and get a kill with Latios' Draco Meteor, because now something is almost surely going to die. SoulWind is forced to switch his Tentacruel in, aka the one thing that he can actually take a Draco Meteor with. I mean, bulky Toad can also take it, but Toad has more defensive use since it is not weak to ground, and Tentacruel with Rain Dish and Protect can maybe get a little lucky with protecting out of range, or he could protect out of range and then go to Politoed or something, at -2. Plus, he'll keep wasting Draco Meteor PP since he's already down to 2, and you might not think that burns fast, but if he Dracoed on Protect and then Dracoed again, that's already half his Draco's gone, and that could be the decider, especially since he has Thundurus as a sacrifice. So Luigi goes to Jirachi on the Protect. So this is going to be a stealth rocket for sure. It's a bulky set. It's meant to handle Zam and Corn and dragons and get up rocks safely. And getting up rocks safely includes having Thunder, which SoulWind, I'm sure he knows that he has it, but he's not exactly ripe with Jirachi options. And Jirachi getting up Stealth Rock is another reason why Magnezone is on Magnet Rise so much, because bulky Excadrill is a very prominent part of the metagame, and it just kind of dominates Jirachi. So SoulWind goes for the Scald, knowing that Jirachi is likely to be bulky, so he's going to be faster since he is running the standard of 286 Tentacruel, which is required to be faster than Mamoswine. And that is very, very bulky, since it does 20 in rain. No leftovers, because it's likely to be Shuka, since it's very common for Jirachi to come face-to-face with Lando and Garchomp, and even Gliscor, but mostly the first two, and you want to be able to take that hit and hit him with an Icy Wind, or get up the rocks, and if you think they're Scarf, then go to Latios, things like that. So basically, Shuka is the standard. Since it goes in the face of most teams' main defense to Jirachi. Not every team has Heatran. And in that case, then you got to be smart with your grounds and your Rotom getting them in safely. So he protects on the Thunder. He's really getting maximum health out of his Tentacruel. Burn would be insanely helpful here, and avoiding a Para would be even more helpful. However, Thunder, he's more favored to get that Thunder process, but Luigi decides, you know what, spin or not, I want to get my big guns in here, and here comes Latios. I think that's a great U-turn for good measure, but shouldn't. I mean, it could matter, since the extra 6% could definitely be the thread that run to Draco Meteor by later. But it's not looking too likely at this point. So now he's got the fresh Draco to kill something with. SoulWind can pray for the double protect or the miss, which is in his favor slightly. Or he can sack Tentacruel. He's going to go for the double / slash miss, and he gets the double. However, Draco is still going to annihilate Tentacruel. As we saw from the damage it did earlier, doing 86 and 86.8 even, so he's not going to be at that range now, but it could be a roll. He's going to sack the Thunderous here, as we see. He's burned it down to 3 Dracos after this one. So the move from SoulWind is definitely trying to prevent the spin if you can, which doesn't sound unreasonable given these 3. Well, I mean, this wouldn't prevent the spin, but it would also allow it to maybe bulk up, because Protect, generally the standard set that is seen right now that's very popular is Spore, Swords Dance, Facade, and Drain Punch. Since Swords Dance lets a blow by Amoonguss and Reuniclus and Gliscor with Facade, but Protect might hint at something bulkier or more bulk oriented. So now he's got the -2, and he's going to get the spin as Jirachi comes in. Jirachi's at very low health, so this is looking in Tentacruel's favor. Uncontested Tentacruel is just so vicious, and this is a prime example of it, as now SoulWind is looking fairly favored. Of course, a Thunder Paralysis could turn this around, but he's got 2 turns max to get it here. He's already avoided it. And he's still avoiding that Scald Burn, and he's going to get the para, so that's not going SoulWind's way at all. So this is crucial. I mean, it's not the rocks that are crucial as much as, I mean, they are, but Tentacruel being taken out of the game is more important. So I think SoulWind was probably spamming Stealth Rock or a Rapid Spin, because, yeah, he could get full parried, but it's not like he had much choice. He could also Protect after to stay out of range, because it is doing sub 50. And if he spammed Stealth Rock until full paralysis, he was probably going to be out of range. And Jirachi was low, so it's not like they could have done that dance forever. It wasn't favored, but he didn't have much choice. And Get Backer goes for the second Thunder and just takes it out. So the Keldeo win plan is not looking too great, because Rotom is still healthy. So that was an example of why Magnezone staying in earlier was the correct move. I mean, it's got a cold Oko here. It's waiting to take something out here. I mean, even Secret Sword is now clearly the better move, but it's not looking airtight yet. So here comes the Keldeo. It's also in Volt Switch range from Rotom, thanks to Magnezone's Flash Cannon. So that was key. So he goes for the Surf regardless. I'm not sure about that one, but because Rotom's going to come in here, and then Rotom Volt switches as SoulWind goes to Breloom. I'm not sure if he's trying to draw in, if he's trying to draw in Rotom to weaken it for Keldeo later, because Latios was still a kill there, and it was because, well, let's hit up the handy dandy damage calc. Keldeo versus Latios in Rain, he's trying to stay out of the Hydro range, and that's Hydro in Rain, or HP Ice. But Hydro is the threat because HP Ice does not get by these two. So if he's trying to stay out of that range, then that's 52. He's at 75, let's call it 63 after this one. So he would have picked up his kill. I mean, the most that might have happened would be that he does a million damage to Politoed, and then Breloom comes in on the -2 and barely survives it. Or not barely, but let's go with the standard bulk upset. And -2 Draco is still doing 54, or call it 55 to 65. So, I mean, it's a threat from there. So I guess he wanted initiative on the Breloom. So that was a fine move. Rather than, I mean, chunking Toad isn't as crucial at this point. But he could get messy with Breloom getting back to full health and Protect, and he's got to make every Draco count. But even now, I mean, he's got 3 Dracos and Breloom's got Protect, so he's going to go to Excadrill. That is an interesting move. I'm not really sure what he plans to do here. I mean, if he wants to spin, I don't think that's good. I mean, spinning means Latios doesn't get more and more closer and closer to Keld range just by switching in. and he does have Protect to scout it out, so he can form a plan of attack. And he is just going to spin. So this could be. I mean, he can't go for the bulk up sweep yet because Latios still has a Draco that obliterates even max HP. So does he just go for Drain Punch? Is he just going to spam Drain Punch now just to wear everything down? In fairness, that's not a bad plan because wow, that did a lot. But yeah, it's not like Rotom counters it, and if Latios either something dies or Latios takes more damage, and a Drain Punch would probably put it very close to range. Breloom's Drain Punch is doing, call it, let's say 20, assume worst case. So 50, two max rolls from Drain Punch and Hydro would put it in range, but now he goes for Seed Bomb, and he reveals that he's missing something because standard bulk up is Protect, a Drain Punch, bulk up, and then Spore. But so Seed Bomb means he either doesn't have Spore or he doesn't have bulk up. And at this point, neither set has ever been seen before, so you got to be scratching your head here. Now, does he go for Dragon Pulse? Dragon Pulse spams. I mean, Dragon Pulse spam is okay, but he's going to get sleep talked, or he's going to get put to sleep, and then he has to switch out, and then something else probably dies. I mean, unless he wants to, because he was free to go for Seed Bomb there, so it's not like he could pivot Rotom the into the Breloom and then back to Latios. So that would be messy. He would have to like take a hit with Mamoswine, which in fairness would not be the worst thing because it dies to Politoed and it dies badly to Keldeo. So maybe that wasn't the worst move, but he decides we're not going to get into that. I want my Latios healthy and active for now at least, so I'm just going to take the Draco. And many players these days run around 56 special defense on their Toads just to take that one hit, and there's that one hit. So now, since this also probably has Protect, and he's down to his last Draco, Luigi's in a rough position. Does he go Rotom? Rotom can Volt Switch out of the Breloom, and then it's up to Sleep Talk. Whether he gets a one turn and wakes up after Breloom protects and then switches, it could be messy. I think because you can't just be forced to struggle. So it seems like Rotom is the smart move because even if he goes back to Breloom, which is very likely, and I mean, honestly, Mamoswine seems like the move because it would be incredibly ballsy for SoulWind to not only not protect on the last Draco, but to use Scald on the Rotom switch. It's either you protect or you go to Breloom. So honestly, I think Mamo is the move. I mean, you got to get ballsy at this point. Yeah, okay, Scald kills it, but I think Mamoswine is the move. He goes to Rotom, and Luigi, yep, he goes back to Breloom. I mean, he's not in the worst spot because he can just Volt Switch into Latios, but I mean, he's not even absorbing sleep at this point anymore because we got to assume he's not Spore. I mean, because this set without Bulk Up would just be bad, and SoulWind does not run bad Pokemon. So he has no choice but to, I mean, maybe he has to chew it with Mamoswine because Bulk Up Loom against, yeah, I mean, that's enough for Life Orb. I mean, he's spamming Seed Bomb here because it's stronger, and he's still out of that Keldeo Hydro range. However, he is in HP Ice range on a good roll, a very good roll. So now he's going to spam Dragon Pulse because if he protects on Draco, then ooh, that's a good move. That's a good move from SoulWind. Rather than Draco and get slept or just attacked again, maybe he doesn't even have Draco. Maybe he has Trick, but assume or Dragon Pulse. Sorry, but assume he has Dragon Pulse. Then, yeah, you got to assume Latios has Dragon Pulse here, but on Protect, that was a good move because now Mamoswine's in and it's pretty much taking something out because Ice Crash and Ice Shard, you can't switch Keldeo into that. Life Orb is just going to be too much. So Politoed has no choice but to get sacked. So you pretty much got to go to Keldeo, and then you go back to Breloom, honestly, because Rotom can swallow 2 hits. Well, someone's timer is really, really low. So you just got to get back on that on the Breloom train, and he does because Latios isn't switching in, and Luigi has the safe switch, so he doesn't want to mess around with it. So on what it looks like here is that since he's got the one Draco and he doesn't seem to be willing to Dragon Pulse, I mean that was a good move. Don't get me wrong. Maybe he's just not willing, even though that was a no. He wants to keep Latios healthy. That was a smart Mamoswine there. But honestly, he might have to start bulking up. Um, he might have to start bulking up and protect Latios out of the Draco. Drain Punch back on the Dragon Pulse because Luigi does not seem to want Latios to eat that hit. And no, he's bulking up, so now that makes a difference since a Mamoswine is not life orb. Worse, it could be Choice Band, but because you might think, well, Mamoswine loves to switch attacks. Why would it run Choice Band? And well, it can, since Stab Ice is just so vicious. But he's gonna need to get some bulk ups, and now this makes it even tougher to deal with, since now Mamoswine can't swallow that one hit. But even the Ice Crash against +1, um, well, Adamant still takes it out pretty cleanly, but he's not. I mean, if he's Choice Band, then you might just have to accept it at this point. But let's just assume like Ice Plate or something. I mean, Adamant still has a chance, but Jolly never does. And maybe it's Metronome. That's a popular set now for things like Reuniclus that try to recover stall it. I mean, it's something. It's something. And Hydro does a lot, but Drain Punch is going to heal it back. So yeah, now he's really in between a rock and a hard place because Latios cannot switch in, and Dragon Pulse isn't gonna. I mean, he gets protected of the Draco, and I mean Dragon Pulse still has fun, and he's here. We see him uh, drain punching back. It's not about the damage he's doing to Rotom; it's about healing himself at this point. So um, Dragon Pulse is gonna do, yeah, still gonna do a ton, but +1 Drain Punch is gonna take his health. It's going to bring him a lot of health, and he can't switch in at this point. So something has to go down before he tries to deal with Breloom. And since he can't really switch into the Breloom at this point, then this is even more of an invitation for SoulWind to keep spamming Bulk Up. All right, so maybe he's Drain Punching just to make sure he stays at good health. I don't know. I think you got to get that second Bulk Up. You got to stay out of the Mamo range. He's protecting. You just can't Volt Switch here. He's making sure that he doesn't catch him on a bulk up, I guess, since even +2 doesn't kill. Um, even +2 Drain Punch and Seed Bomb don't kill Latios, and he can do the Drain Punch thing. But now he's making sure that if Latios eats the Drain Punch, which he is going to be forced to do, since Rotom is low, yeah, that's it. He's forcing Rotom to be low so that when Latios takes the Drain Punch, then Keldeo will be able to clean both up. Now he goes for that bulk up because he is going to probably have to do it to really force the Rotom in between a rock and a hard place. So, and now he's really going to be able to stay healthy in the face of these Rain Hydros. Thank God that did not crit. And he's just going to keep Drain Punching, and down it goes, and he's getting a ton of health back. He's going to be able to protect after. He's going to be at full. And now Mamoswine cannot kill him. Mamoswine against +2 Breloom with Adamant Life Orb is never doing it. Even Choice Band is 12% to kill. And it can miss, but it can also flinch. So he goes to Mamoswine, knowing he's got to get that flinch or something to keep the Latios out of the Keldeo range, because otherwise it's a higher percent chance to flinch it than to go for a Dragon Pulse crit. So, yeah, the Draco Meteor PP did end up mattering. That's kind of amazing. So he's going for the crash, and now all there's left to do is pray. He's not even at full, so if he's banded, it's not going to be enough. There's a good chance, but he's not. And Drain Punch is going to take him out. So now, barring a Dragon Pulse crit, then the game is over. He still has to go for Protect just so he's at full health. And so, in case he happens to have no better choice than Draco, then he doesn't take out Breloom and then still take out Keldeo, because a -2 Draco will kill Keldeo at that range. I am fairly certain. There's the bomb, not concerned with his own health anymore, just putting it in Keldeo range, and that's going to be the game. That was an astounding comeback. This was an excellent game. Hmm. So, before we call it here, then I'd like to re-examine one turn, or a turn a while ago, and that was turn, what's 43, when he goes back to Breloom and he's got Rotom here. So I guess the question here is, can he switch into Latios and go from there with the Dragon Pulses? Breloom, if it takes two, and then, okay, Breloom's Drain Punch is doing 23, so 23 times 2 is not going to add up to this, so he can probably just spam Dragon Pulse. That may have been the better move. That may have been the better move. And I don't think that he can go to. I don't think he can Drain Punch his way out of that one, since Drain Punch recovers 9 to 11. So even if you add that on top of Poison Heal, let's call it 20% recovery, it's not going to be enough to get out of. To get out of this range, and then Keldeo is still in Rotom is still out of Keldeo range. So, honestly, it might have even been better to go to Mamoswine just to get that damage on it and just be safer, I guess. Since Mamoswine can still swallow an attack, still, as we saw from how much it did at +2, it's still going to be doing a million at +1. So that may have been the safer option, I think. Yep. So actually, I'm fairly certain that Luigi should have made a different play. He should not have let Rotom bulk up, or should not have let Breloom bulk up to such an extent. Well, let's say he bulks up on the switch. So let's say he has a +1 Drain Punch, which is going to 2 KO, and he's going to recover 14 to 16. So on top of 12, let's call that 26, 27-ish. So he's going to get 27 back. So he's going to be taking, let's say best case scenario, he's going to be taking 71. And then he gets the 27 back. He's still going to die to the second one. Well, but then he gets even more back because of Protect. So let's say he takes 70, which is again the best case scenario. It would come down to rolls. Um, yeah, yeah. I think he needs like two very, if I'm doing my math right, he needs two very low rolls to come out on top of that, and that's why Mamoswine may have even been a better move. Although actually, if he lives and he drain punches and Drain Punch at +1 will kill it, and he gets pretty much all his health back. So I think Latios was the superior move. But let's say he did how much at +2? Um, he did he did 77 at +2. So um, he was in Life Orb. Let's assume Never Melt Ice. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, he was adamant Never Melt Ice. So against +1, he would have done. He might have still killed. maybe you go for it. Maybe you do. But Latios was, I think Mamoswine or Latios were both better plays than just letting him bulk up with Rotom with Breloom. I mean, Solwind, he saw his advantage here, his opening, and he took it. So that's going to be it for this game. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you next time.